Guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Choma Stitches and my name is Choma. Today we are going to sew in a circle skirt and an off-shoulder top. Stay tuned to the end of the video to see how we make this beautiful piece. I'm going to be starting with the circle skirt part. Now, to get your circle skirt, you divide your waist measurement by 6.28, but for me I'm going to be using 4.3 inches. So to make this circle skirt, I'm going to be using 4.3 inches for my waistline, but my waist is 28 inches. So 4.3 inches is going to give me the round waistline I need, plus extra 1 inch for my zip allowance. And then I'm going to be using a full length of 23 inches from here because I want it to be about 20 inches. At the end of the day, I'm going to be left with 19.5 inches. And that 19.5 inches, I'm going to be using 1 inch for hemming and then half an inch to join the band to the waistline. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out my 4.3 inches round and then 23 inches round. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out and cut here out as well. Then I'm going to open one side for my zipper. I'm going to set this aside. Then for the top, I am going to be using this pattern piece for both the front and the back. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with the back. So I'm going to assume that I've taken out 4 inches because it's going to be an off shoulder. I'm going to assume I've taken out 4 inches from here, and then I'm going to mark the full length that I need. I'm going to be using 14 inches. Half an inch will be for hemming, so I'm going to be using 14 inches. So I'm going to mark out my 14 inches, 14.5 inches rather. Now to get to your off shoulder measurement, you take your tape round your measurements, around your off shoulder, the way you see in the picture shown in the video. Now when you do that, divide it into 4. So what I like to do is you get your chest line. You can measure over your chest line. Whatever you get, that's from one armpit to the other. That is the measurement you're going to be using for the front part of your off shoulder and the back part of your off shoulder. And whenever I take this measurement, I am most comfortable at 12. So if I'm going to be having 12 in the front, that means I'll be having 12 at the back as well. Okay, so I can just mark out the 12 that I need. Okay, I think with this I can even add my sewing allowance. I can add my zip allowance. Okay, so let's mark out 1 inch for the zip allowance first, since this is going to be for the back. And then from here I can take out my 6 inches. That is for the 12 that I have for the front and 12 for the back. 12 divided by 2 will be 6, so I'll mark out 6 inches. Okay, now if my armhole is 7.3 inches, so if you place your 4 inches here, since I've already taken out 4 inches from here already, I'm assuming that. So from there I'm going to measure my 7.5, which is my armhole. Okay, to get your armhole, you divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this. Now I will impute my measurements. For my waist measurement, my waist is 28 inches, divided by 4 will be 7 inches. So I'm going to add 1 inch for that. That will give me 8 inches. So I'm going to mark the 8 inches like so. And then for my bust area, my bust is 8.75 inches. That's 35 inches divided by 4 will be 8.75 inches. I'm going to mark that. I'm just going to go ahead and connect this. So this is the back. Okay. Now for my dart, I'm using my bust point measurement, which is 4 inches. Okay. My bust point, the nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. Divided by 2 will be 4 inches. So I'll use it as my dart. Okay, so I'm going to mark the dart from here to here. And then you can take out your dart on both ends, half an inch, half an inch. You can even go as high as this, but this is comfortable for me. Okay, next I'm going to be taking out my armhole. Okay, since I have 6 inches here, I'm going to come down to the armhole here. I'll mark the same 6 inches. I will connect it. And then I'm going to be using my curved ruler to curve the armhole here. So I'm just going to mark it wherever is most comfortable here. Now if you feel like this is not deep enough for your armhole, you can come down a little bit by maybe half of an inch extra. Okay, or you go higher by half of an inch. Let's cut out the back and then draft the front piece. So I'm going to go ahead and draft the front piece. Now for the front, since we have the back to be 14 inches and I added half an inch for the hem, I'm going to be adding 2 inches to the front, because the front is going to be having a bust dart. So I'm going to be having 16.5 inches for the front. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this out. Now I am going to mark out the 6 inches for the over bust. Okay, for the off shoulder and the over bust, I'm going to mark the 6 inches. I'm going to come down here, place 4 inches on this and mark my 7.5 inches for my armhole. Come back and mark another 6 inches here. So I'm just going to rule this, connect this part, and then use my armhole curve to curve in my armhole. Alright, so at this point now I can now input my measurements. For the waist measurement, 28 divided by 4 will be 7 inches plus 1 inch for that, will be 8 inches. Around the bust area, my bust is 8.75 inches, okay? That is 35 inches divided by 4. Now you can first connect this line, okay? So what I'm going to do next is take out my dart. So for the 2 inches, you're going to measure your shoulder to your bust measurement. Mine is 10 inches here. So from this 10 inches, I can now come down by 2 inches for my dart. You can come in here, get to your bust point. My bust point is 4 inches, okay? Now this will be my dart line, okay? You can take out your dart, 1/2 inch on both sides. And then from here, you're going to take out your dart. So you can decide to rule the darts. I'm going to rule this like so. And then I'm going to take in from this bust point, this nipple tip, I'm going to go out by 1 inch. Then from there, I will connect it to get my bust dart. You can just fold in the bust dart like so. Move the bust dart line to the like this. Once you rule this, you can now use your tape, your marker, to rule out, connect this line to the, because the line is no longer, it has moved away from the actual line. So now you can now connect it to the armhole. This is going to help to give you a guide on, okay, give you a guide. You can use your rotary cutter to indicate this line. I'm just marking it to give me a guide. So this is the guide. Now I can just trace it like so to connect this. This is my bust dart. So when I'm taking out the bust dart, this is the direction the bust dart is going to go. So I can go ahead and cut this out now. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to my fabric. I'm going to be cutting out the sleeve now. My off shoulder is 41 inches and I've taken out 24 inches for both the front and the back over bust, okay? So that will be 24 inches. So minus 24 inches. What I have left is 17 inches. Now I'm going to divide the 17 inches by 2. So what I have is 8.5 inches left for each sleeve, okay? So now each sleeve unfold will now be 4.25 inches. Now let's say I don't want the sleeve to be too long. I want it to be, say, length 6 inches in all. I'm going to mark out 8 inches from here. And then I'm going to measure from the top here, I'm going to measure my 8.5 inches on fold, which will be 4.25 inches here. So from there, I'm going to come down the same way I measured my armhole. So I'm going to measure my armhole of 7.5 inches. I'm going to include it here. Then my bicep is 12 inches. My bicep is 12 inches. So I'm going to be marking out 12 inches here. 12 inches is 6 inches. So you have 6 inches like so. Now, if this is what I want to use, if this is the measurement I would like to use, this is how I'm going to cut it out. If you want it to be very tight on your body, you can now use your curve ruler to curve the armhole. So you curve the armhole, you come back and you enter your bicep again. My bicep is 6 inches. So here, then you can now add your 1 inch sewing allowance or 1.5 inch sewing allowance and extend this. Okay, at this point, you can also add 1/2 inch all around the armhole. This is for when you are using your exact measurement so that the sleeve will be tight on your arm. But I don't want a tight sleeve for my own off shoulder. I want to increase the size of the sleeve around the off shoulder and down part because I'll be adding elastic here and elastic here. So I'm going to be moving this piece forward so I can have excess. So I won't be having the exact measurements that I need. I'll be having excess. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting this in excess so that I can use an elastic instead. So I'll be using all of this piece I have here because I want to add elastic here and elastic here. I don't like my off shoulder being too tight. I like to have an elastic around the off shoulder so that it gives my hand room for movement. Okay, so I'm going to use this to cut out the other piece of the sleeve. I have cut out a long straight strip for my skirt band. What I have here is 2.5 inches, so when I join it to the skirt, I'm going to be having 2 inches as the band for the skirt. You have to cut it to be long enough to be able to accommodate your waistline and have 2 inches extra for your zip allowance. And I've also transferred my pattern to fabric, as you can see, and I added sewing allowance on the sides and on the armhole. I added 1.5 inch on the side and I added 1/2 inch on the armhole. As you can see, this is the front, this is the back piece. And also for the back piece, I went up by, instead of 1/2 inch, I went up by 0.8 inches. It's just optional, depends on you, whatever you want. Okay, so this being the sleeve is going to be attached. You can also place the sleeve like so and use it to trace out the sleeve armhole if you want, but mine matches, so I don't need to do that. I'm going to be using a bias to turn the chest line. Okay, I'm going to be using a bias to turn the chest line for both the front and the back. So I'm going to get straight to sewing, and of course this is our skirt and the skirt band. So this 2 piece is complete. It's time to start sewing. Also, something else I want to point out, so this piece I cut out from the skirts. Okay, from the skirts, it came out from here on the skirts, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to be using this as a design for the top. Okay, so what I did was I have used it to cut out, so I had to cut out 5 more extra, so I have 6 in total that I'm going to be using to design the chest line of the front. So I'm going to be picking it from the center like this, and I'll tack it to the bust area of the off shoulder when I'm done. And I'm going to use baby lock weaving to weave around it to make it neater, so that when you attach it to this dress, it will be a design. Just have to mention that. All right, it's time to start sewing, and I've transferred my darts to the fabric. So you can see the dart lines, I've transferred them to the fabric. Same thing for the back piece. So you can see, if taking out, I've ruled out the dart line, so I will just follow the line and take out my darts. Also, this is the bias I'm going to be using for the chest line. I'm going to use to turn the chest line. I have hemmed the sleeve. I've hemmed the top of the sleeve and the down part so I can pass my elastic through it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and use a safety pin to pass elastic to it, just like I've done on this one. This is the other sleeve. So you can see I've passed elastic through them, and so this is how it's going to be. It's going to come out. It's coming, making sense already. Here is our skirt, the skirt, and this is the band. So I've ironed a stay on the band. Okay, now ironing a stay on the band just gives it some firmness, okay, and definition. It defines your band. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew the band. Okay, so here I've sewn the band. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it this way and then attach my zipper. So the zipper is going to get to 7 inches. I'm just going to pin down at 7 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and sew here with 1 inch. So this is our skirt. I'm just going to go ahead and sew a zipper and the skirt will be ready, and I will use my baby lock machine to overlock the down part to keep it very neat. I'm going to be taking out the darts from the top area. And then for the back piece, the dart is just 1/2 inch, so I'm going to fold it down and take out the 1/2 inch for that. So now I'm going to be sewing the top. So look at the effect of the dart we have taken from here. Also, I'll take out the waist dart for this one as well. When you sew it once like this, you're going to turn it down, turn it this way and top stitch it. And this is it. So when you sew the bias this way and then top stitch it, this is what you get. So I'm going to iron here to keep it neat. So this is what we have, as you can see. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on this part and this part, and then we can join them together. So here, now that I've taken out the darts, look at how the front part looks, and you will notice the puffing at the bust area. This is what you want to have. Okay, so it's time to attach the sleeve. So I'm going to start sewing the sleeve just this way. So now that I've sewn to this side, I'm going to place the other part of the back piece here. And I'm going to sew it. So now it's sewn. This is what we have. Just going to go ahead and sew it from the down part and hold the side. Now when you are sewing it, make sure the dart line for the front part is facing downwards. That's very important. Okay, so now that I've sewn this part, I've sewn this side, I'm just going to fold in this side as well and sew it. Okay, so this is what we have. The top is coming together. Now it's remaining to put up the zipper and of course hem the down parts. Okay, look at how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and hem it down. Okay, so I have hemmed the down part. You just go ahead and put the zipper and then weave the inside. Now this is the front of the top, and this is what I've thought about for these designs, these pieces that I cut out. So I'm going to take it with each part like so, and I'm going to tack it to this. Okay, so since there are 6 of them, let's just take out the measurement and see how I can divide it. Okay, so I have, what I have here is 12. That's perfect. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to place it at 2 inches interval, and to tack it I am going to find the center like so, and I'm going to take it, pin the center at the end here, at the top here, and I'm just going to make double stitch on it. Just go back and forth to keep it there. Okay, just very little, and this is it. Okay, so this is how this is going to be. I'm going to place the rest. Let me go ahead and sew the rest. Okay, so I've tacked all of them at 2 inches interval. Okay, and this is what I have. Look at how it looks. So this is it in the front, and I'm going to be giving it a neat weaving, okay, baby lock weaving, to keep it clean. And I'm going to attach the zipper to this dress, and then I will try it on with the skirt and show us how it looks. If at this point, guys, you are yet to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and like this video, and also subscribe to this channel so that you get updates whenever I post a new content. Also, you can share this video to help this community grow. I would definitely appreciate that very much. Thank you guys for staying to the end of the video. See you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.